Hey guys, tonight we visit the most melodic anomaly in this arm of the galaxy, the Singing Sisters Constellation. You've probably heard of it whispered in gravity wave cafes or seen it scribbled into the margins of navigation charts. Like a dare, officially uninhabitable, unofficially enchanting. The kind of place people go once and come back changed or not at all. You float forward, not quite stepping, into the glass-veined tunnel leading toward the central hub. From your viewport, the stars curve like brushstrokes, smeared into slanted spirals by gravitational tides. The sisters themselves, seven collapsed blue giants, clustered too close for comfort, hum at frequencies just below perception. The lighting shifts subtly with each footfall, shadows responding not to mass, but to mood. They display images without projection memories belonging to other visitors, perhaps, or maybe yours, but forgotten, or previews, hard to say. Beyond the transparent shielding, the sisters blaze massive, pulsing, arranged as if by intent, like seven singers forming a choir across late centuries. They shouldn't even exist so close without annihilating each other. And yet here they are, threads of neutron deep density, harmonizing like monks of pressure and time. A man wrapped in moth fabric floats inside an inverted cone. A child whispers to a crystal that whispers back. A woman opens a door and sees herself coming through it. Each sister broadcasts her own field of influence. They're not just singing, they're tuning us. You check the small tablet in your sleeve, your schedule reads, orientation, clavichordal access, personal harmonics clearance pending mood audit. The docking clamps bite with a slow hiss, and for a moment you hear it, not sound exactly, but pressure in your bones that skips like a broken lullaby. But they're singing, always singing. Some say the constellation is a cathedral for sound too old to remember its own origin. Others say the voices are bait. Please refrain from emotional outbursts. The sisters resonate. You're scheduled to enter the graviton chamber in just under an hour. The technician gives you a coral pink tab to swallow. Mood modulator. You'll want your emotions tuned before you drop into the choir chamber. Your craft, a lenticular shuttle with wings like folded paper, docks against the jelly-glass ring station, hovering in static balance beyond the gravitic threshold. Because this orchestra of impossible stars and pressure-drenched silence feels like something listening back. You unbuckle. The floor is slightly tilted, as if unsure of what's up and what's dreamt. You flinch, but the drone just chirps. You've got a good memory pulse, curious, conflicted, delicious. She adds, or don't, but you might cry until your eyes reverse, bitter, then oddly sweet. Then the taste disappears entirely, as if rewritten. Welcome to Threshold Array 12, a voice intones through the intercom, its accent filtered through a dozen machine dialects. The air here tastes like static and something citrusy. A customs drone whirs by, draped in a shawl of floating mem ribbons, each ribbon vibrating slightly. One brushes your face, warm as breath. And somehow, impossibly, it sounds like your name. You step into the orientation chamber. The walls are alive with microfilaments, pulsing like veins. Just illusions, says your guide, a technician wearing zero-grav sandals and a coat that flows in slow oscillations, color shifting between rust and midnight. She leads you to a viewing deck shaped like a petal frozen mid-bloom. You lean forward, breath fogging the inner shield. The hum you feel in your ribs, the technician asks. That's not your imagination. That's gravitational cadence. Why aren't we crushed? She smiles faintly. Maybe we are, just slowly. A warning flashes across your retinal HUD. Caution, do not mimic the sisters' tones. Harmonic resonance may affect organ stability. You chuckle, but there's a reason that warning's posted. There's a quiet reverence on the deck, even from those who don't believe in anything. Somewhere beneath you, the lower levels of the station pulse with harmonic preparation. You hesitate. You take it. Outside, the sisters shift their song. For the first time, you hear a note shaped like longing or memory, or both. The graviton chamber hums even before you reach it. Corridors twist slightly, not in shape, but in intention turning becomes something you feel more than do. You pass through a sensor archway made of coiled gold and aragol, which whispers its approval in soft harmonic pings. Your badge glows green. You're cleared for entry. Inside the chamber, gravity is not absent, it's experimental. Forces are braided here, looped into sound. When your head touches the rest pad, sound disappears, but pressure remains. The floor is a mesh of vibrational fiber. The walls a transparent, semi-liquid membrane that pulses with the breaths of the sisters beyond. You're standing inside an instrument tuned by stars. Together, their tones form waves of strange beauty, folding over each other like silk and sorrow. The sisters' voices aren't sounds, but shifting gradients of gravity, rippling across your cells like the memory of a strong wind. You see the notes as they move, ripples of colorless light unfurling in spirals. A low harmonic brushes your spine, and suddenly you remember a face you've never seen smiling at you beside a ruined satellite in an ocean that no longer exists. Lie down, the technician murmurs. Your emotional mass translates into a narrative signal, and think about something heavy emotionally or otherwise. It helps anchor the translation. It resembles a jellyfish mated with a compass, its tentacles constantly realigning with the star chord vibrations. It hums a note you can feel in your teeth. You hesitate only a second before easing onto the mesh. It shifts slightly to match your mass and mood, but you see yourself sitting just for a moment in a mirrored version of the chamber. That version of you reaches out and then vanishes. Let them pass, you're porous now. And then the singing begins, not from speakers, not from the walls, from space. You realize the chamber is asking you questions using gravitational phrasing. One inquiry sinks deep. What weighs more, loss or expectation? Each sister sings in a different register, one deep and throaty like a collapsing mountain, one high-pitched and clean like ice cracking on Europa. You feel your limbs become optional. There's a spike of sensation in your chest, not pain, but density. Your thoughts slow into syrup. Language collapses into imagery. The membrane walls ripple, displaying patterns that resemble tree rings, but when you squint, they resolve into diagrams of cities that never existed. Don't fight the memory leaks, says a voice through your sleeve. It is made of matter denser than white dwarfs, suspended by perfectly tuned counterforces. Every throb bends your perception forward, becomes maybe, backward feels nostalgic. The chamber's core, a floating orb the size of a heart, begins to pulse. This is where the translation starts, the technician continues. The sisters don't speak language, they speak mass. Not physically, but something has detached, maybe expectation. You try to nod, but your neck has joined the orchestra. From the corner of your eye, a small pod unfolds housing a live translator organism. Suddenly, pressure, then release. You sit up, no movement. You're still lying down. Words would feel like shouting into a painting. Echo breach, the technician sighs. Don't worry. It means you're synchronizing. The singing shifts, no longer harmony, now call and response. You're not supposed to answer, but you do. Expectation. The mesh beneath you reacts. A small sign near the core flashes briefly. Warning, mass misidentification may result in temporary duplication. You think of something heavy, just in case. Your name, your breath, the moment you almost didn't board the shuttle. Then the song softens. The sisters hold a note together that makes your vision blur with chromatic tears. Gravity folds gently around your bones like memory foam. Your pulse slows. Above you, the translator creature lets out a soft, resonant trill pleased. You are now aligned. The technician helps you sit up for real this time. You don't speak. You can't yet, but she smiles knowingly. The first time is always elastic. You step out of the chamber slightly lighter. As you leave, a holographic panel buzzes faintly above the door. Please rehydrate thoroughly. Gravity harmonics may cause emotional dehydration. And sure enough, you're thirsty. You're not entirely sure when the technician left. You're walking now, though walking might be generous. Movement in this sector of the array feels like shifting through intentions. They vibrate just enough to tickle your fingertips as you pass through. On the other side, the resonance gallery. You lean forward and the corridor flows to meet you, adjusting curvature and light, pulsing faintly with each of your heartbeats. At the end of the hall, you reach a doorway made of trembling strands. It's not on the tour. The room is round, surprisingly small. It feels older than the rest of the station, less polished, less symmetrical. The walls are lined with resonance spikes, tall crystalline rods humming quietly, each tuned to a specific note in the sisters' song. It's vibrating at a slow, inaudible frequency. You can see the faintest shimmer in the air around it, like the heat above a candle in zero gravity. You reach out and press your palm gently to its surface. The technician must have entered with you silently, or perhaps she was already here. She waves you over. I'm not supposed to do this, she says, handing you a glove lined with microgrip foam. But everyone should touch at least one. You hesitate. Touch what? A man with silver eyes laughs beside you, throwing bread to wingless birds that orbit instead of fly. You know his name. You know this place. But none of it belongs to you. She smiles. A note? You pull on the glove and approach the nearest resonance spike. The universe hiccups. Suddenly, you're sitting on a rocky shoreline. Wind tastes like citrus and dust. A brief image overlays your vision. You older. Or maybe not you at all. Planting something in soil that glows, weeping quietly, humming a tune you haven't learned yet. Then it's gone. You're back in the resonance gallery, gloves slightly steaming. The spike is dark, now silent. The technician nods solemnly. A third one joins in. Within seconds, half the gallery is vibrating with subtle chords, forming a spontaneous harmony like wind over bottle tops. They don't always share, she says. That one liked you. You remove the glove, hands trembling. What was that? It levitates a few inches in the air, rotating slowly, as if your thought didn't transfer but was copied. You feel no loss, just a new absence. Place your palm on it, she instructs. Just one thought, that's all they need. The floor reseals. The gallery goes still. A dissonant echo. A compressed memory thread, probably from someone who's stood here before. Sometimes the sisters store them. Sometimes they replay. Another spike begins to hum on its own, responding to the energy you released. You step back instinctively. They're singing to you now, the technician says, her voice hushed. Or singing with you. It's hard to tell the difference. One spike flashes momentarily bright enough to leave a ghost imprint behind your eyes. You blink. The room is quiet again. A quick beat, like a tiny heartbeat. You feel it in your spine. A memory deposited. Or perhaps waiting for you someday in reverse. The technician turns to a panel on the wall and taps in a quick sequence. A soft chime follows. They want to record you. Just a fragment. I didn't agree to that. Too late, you just sing back. A small aperture opens in the floor. From it rises a disc of matte black, no larger than your hand. You hesitate, then comply. The disc is cold at first, then not at all. The sensation is empty. The disc sinks again. You've joined the choir, she says. I don't know the lyrics, neither do they. That's not the point. As you leave the room, one last spike pulses behind you. You're aboard a descent vessel now. The walls are smooth and matte, the kind of black that eats light rather than reflects it. There are no windows, just one wide screen above the pilot's seat, currently displaying the pulsing orbit of Sister 1. From a distance, it resembles a heartbeat frozen in time-lapse. You strap yourself into the couch seat as the vessel shudders slightly gravity surge. The pilot explains. The sister just inhaled. Sister 1 doesn't rotate like most stars. It flexes. There's no friction, no fire, just pressure. The gravity here doesn't feel stronger. It feels older, denser with memory. At regular intervals, its outer layers pulse inward as if trying to collapse again, only to rebound in gravitational resistance. Sister 1 sings in disassembly. If you feel like parts of you are being thought about too loudly, that's normal. You descend slowly into the influence well, riding layers of calibrated field dampeners. As you go deeper, the sound begins. A low choral vibration, like monks underwater. The ship doesn't seem to be moving. You think of sky, and your mind offers the sensation of warm fabric. As it passes over the vessel, your ears pop from the inside, and for a moment, all sensation collapses. You remember your name, but it arrives like a headline in a language you almost know. But the walls quiver gently, and the air inside tastes metallic like copper wires soaked in rain. Dream flares, the pilot says. Don't stare. They'll start reflecting your unfinished thoughts. Welcome to the first swell, the pilot says, adjusting a series of dials that appear to control emotion frequency, not altitude. It overlooks a wide valley filled with lush, swaying plant life, all of it trembling gently to the sister's subsonic hymn. Nothing here is familiar. Trees are curved like question marks. Ferns bloom in bursts of copper. A bird-like creature calls out with a voice that echoes backward. You try to laugh, but your voice catches. Your thoughts are beginning to separate. Not unpleasant, just personal. The sister's song deepens. You feel it in your joints now, whispering to the water in your cells. A sign carved into the bark of a gelatinous tree reads. It starts subtly. Words no longer attached to meaning the way they used to. One of the ship's panels lights up with strange organic patterns. When you touch it, your fingers go numb and then warm, and then remember the scent of your childhood blanket. You look anyway. The panel fills with images, a room you almost rented, a friend you never called back, a dog you loved for 2 weeks at age 6. The memories fold and fade like old letters that were never mailed. Then the ship vibrates violently just once. One was carved into your childhood desk. Another appeared in a dream during a fever you had at 13. A third is on the cover of a book you've never opened. Gravitic pulse, the pilot murmurs. She's tuning. Outside the hull, you glimpse something massive and slow field rupture, visible as a shimmering scar in space. Then you're here, docked. The door opens. A soft gravity field guides your steps as you walk onto a platform built into the edge of the compression field. You descend stone steps etched with symbols that look suspiciously like musical notation written in Braille. You reach the garden floor. Warning, do not hum. Resonant interference may result in temporary spatial untethering. Your foot brushes a patch of soft moss, and it lets out a polite chime. You continue walking, surrounded by plants that pulse and shimmer. Some seem to mimic your movements. One tall stalk leans toward you, vibrating gently. You sit on a bench made of folded stone and let the air press in. Your name feels unnecessary here, and the moment you think that, the garden responds. A spiral of petals unfurls from a nearby vine. Each one is etched with a symbol. You can't read them, but you recognize them. The garden is singing you back to yourself piece by piece. The deeper you go into the garden, the less gravity behaves. It still holds you, but more gently now, like a polite conversation rather than an insistent law. You feel slightly taller, slightly thinner, like your atoms are enjoying the stretch. Every breath feels rounder, slower. You begin to wonder, what if gravity itself is listening? Inside is a greenhouse, but not for food. These plants grow meanings. A path unfolds beneath your steps not paved, but suggested. Within it, a miniature forest rotates slowly, each tree shaped like a fractal echo of the ones outside. This is the garden's memory. Flowering plants withdraw or open as you approach, shaping a meandering trail through the compression garden. Here, gravity doesn't just keep things down, it arranges them. A huge arching vine leads you into a dome made entirely of translucent roots. At the center of the dome is a pedestal with a hovering glass orb. You see your own body from above, still standing, hand to glass. They smile sadly and hand you a fruit. Around you, the trees glow faintly, shedding gravitational pollen that settles on your thoughts like dust. You reach out, and the orb leans toward your hand like a pet wanting to be touched. When you make contact, your mind is no longer in your body. You're now in the forest. Or its echo. Every few meters, the terrain changes, mirroring not your location, but your mood. When you think of home, the forest shifts to mimic the scent of cooking oil and the hum of an old refrigerator. When you feel regret, the ground becomes soft and difficult, like walking through memories you've buried under time. You have just performed a first-degree emotional resonance loop. Please allow 3 hours for narrative reintegration. You walk mentally through this internal landscape. One of them nods at you, producing a clicking sound that somehow conveys admiration, and one clearing, you meet yourself. Don't worry, you're still deliciously ambiguous. Useful if you ever need to anchor yourself. Not exactly an echo of you, slightly older. Dressed in a garment you've never worn, but clearly own in some possible version of your life. You'll need this, they say. Your steps are still interpreting you. What is it? They shrug. Interpretation. Tastes different every time. You bite. It tastes like a long-forgotten nickname. You jolt back into your body. The orb is dim now, rotating slower. The pedestal retracts. A nearby plaque glows softly, revealing script that slowly resolves into your native tongue. Congratulations. Outside the dome, a small group of creatures is gathered folded shapes that appear both biological and geometric. Their bodies shimmer like crushed velvet in moonlight. These are interpretants, says a voice behind you. The technician again. They feed on unresolved stories. One of the interpretants approaches and places something into your hand, a small, coiled pendant that feels heavier than it looks. That's yours now, the technician says. A harmonically stable object. It holds its mass even near a sister. The interpretants begin to hum. Not a song, exactly, but a field. You feel calmer. Your thoughts line up like well-shelved books. Come, says the technician, tapping a small remote. There's more to see, but you should walk slowly. You emerge from the compression garden into a shaded corridor carved directly into the asteroid fragment that houses the monastery. The walls pulse slightly as if breathing. Embedded in the stone are clusters of transparent fungi that emit a soft, pearlescent glow, lighting your way without ever casting shadows. Their scent something like cinnamon and electricity hints that you're nearing the Fold Monk's refectory. Ahead, incense coils float mid-air, spinning slowly in microgravity. The walls fold into the floor and back into the ceiling in one seamless curve. In the center, a long communal table carved from meteorite, polished to a smoky sheen. Surrounding it are the Fold Monks. Or maybe they were never really there. Your guide is gone again. A ceramic bowl appears in front of you, formed from thin lattice gravity and something that smells faintly of warm bread. The corridor opens into a great chamber shaped like a Möbius strip. There are no corners. The fabric sometimes reveals flashes of impossible geometry, triangles with 5 sides, staircases that double back into themselves, fractals of golden script that crawl across their sleeves before vanishing again. They're draped in robes that shimmer between dimensions literally. One monk gestures to the seat beside him. You sit. The bench molds slightly to your shape. When they speak again, it's in questions. A forgotten birthday. The pause between two people about to say something they won't. It's delicious. This is sunroot, the monk says in a voice like rustling paper. We ferment it with moments. Time adds flavor. You taste it. The texture is soft, but the flavor is confusing. It reminds you of a rainy afternoon when you were 5. One monk once got caught in her rhythm and spent 12 subjective years inside a 5-minute stanza. The monks eat in contemplative silence. What is the gravitational center of your guilt? Have you ever traded time for weight? Do your regrets orbit each other? Even the chamber seems to approve, its walls gently folding inward like a satisfied sigh. You answer none of them out loud, but your thoughts ripple through the table anyway, absorbed by the surface like heat into stone. The stones hover, shimmering. They hum in harmony with the Singing Sisters' tones, a pocket choir of personal resonance. One monk chuckles. Your silence has a lovely flavor. They pour you tea brewed from memory-rich leaves. You smell something familiar, but when you try to place it, it slips away. Conversation drifts. They tell you of Sister 2, who hums not in disassembly, but in recursion. Her song folds space into loops. That's how we became monks, he says with a wistful grin. We had time to consider alternatives. Someone passes around a bowl of preserved paradoxes. You decline. They nod solemnly. Wise, they cause indigestion. It's warm and impossibly heavy for its size. It pulls slightly at your palm, like a magnet tuned to soul mass. A silence falls that isn't empty, it's full of agreement. Then a small ceremony begins. Each monk removes a stone from within their robes and places it on the table. Your seat vibrates subtly. A tiny drawer opens beside you. Inside is a single black pebble. It's yours, says the monk beside you. You've earned a gravity-stable question. What am I supposed to ask it? Nothing. It will ask you, eventually. You take the pebble. A bell chimes. The meal is done. The monks bow not to you, but toward the spiral center of the chamber, where a small seed floats midair, slowly unfurling petals of light. You leave the refectory without remembering how you stood up. Outside the monastery, the terrain shifts. The pressure fields curve inward like lazy whirlpools, distorting the ground into strange loops. Your feet touch down lightly on surface patches that aren't quite solid, more like condensed tendencies of stone. Here, gravity stitches the rules together like thread through chaotic cloth. And today, something has torn a seam. Every step sends a ripple through the gravity lattice. The landscape answers back, humming beneath your solace. This is the outer curl, the boundary between the structured garden and the free roam resonance zones. It starts with a low rumble. You turn toward it too late. The earth buckles. Not violently, not loudly, but with intent. As if something underneath has decided to move again after a long nap. From the ridge comes a shape, four-legged, broad, made not of flesh but of spun. Filaments lines of gravity woven together like yarn under stress. A creature. Each step leaves behind a harmonic footprint. Low tones that echo even when it's still. Where eyes should be, it has 2 softly orbiting spheres. Not pupils, tiny gravitational lenses. It moves in pulses like bad memories trying to walk. A soft alarm flutters through your chest. This one is unstable. A shimmer of past events sprays from its nostrils, forming translucent tableaus. A lunch you'll never have. A conversation you wish you'd started. A path not taken that still knows your name. Its body glimmers faintly in the sister light. It looks at you, and you feel seen not physically, but rhythmically, like your personal cadence has been clocked. You pull it from your pouch and hold it out. The technician, it's an invitation. Or the garden itself, it reacts to intention more than motion. For a moment, your thoughts slow to its rhythm. You feel something pass between you, not words, not images. The creature stops, leans forward, then lets out a long, resonant breath. You freeze. Then remember the pendant given by the interpretants. It steps aside. A second piece follows larger, more erratic. This one is stitched, but sloppily. Its gravity is misaligned. Limbs fold at wrong angles. "Don't run," says a voice in your earpiece. You stay perfectly still. That one usually doesn't go quietly. I think it recognized your orbit. The beast tilts its head, or what might be ahead. Then it snorts, not airtime. It stares into your pendant, growls once, and dissipates, unweaving like an untied knot. Gravity made. Most are born from resonance surplus when harmonics tingle. But some are regrets that learn to walk. This certifies that you've survived a stitched encounter. Few do. Silence again. From the underbrush, another presence emerges, this one smaller, quadrupedal, and curiously curious. It chirps in microtones like a question, then it does something unexpected. It sits. The sisters sing what they feel. Sometimes they sing nightmares. Its body vibrates slightly, attuning itself to your breath. You realize it's sensing. This isn't an attack. You sit too. The creature leans forward and presses a limp part paw, part echo against your palm. Frequency. You've just been read. Then it scampers off, humming your cadence like a tune it's decided to keep. Later, back at the monastery's edge, the technician greets you. "Well done," she says, nodding at the spot where the unstable beast had unraveled. What were they? Stitch beasts. You look back at the ridge. The air hums faintly with leftover notes. "They're harmless if you're honest," she adds. "Just don't lie to one. They weigh that." She hands you a patch for your sleeve, a small embroidered glyph in the shape of a curled loop. "Will there be more?" She shrugs. The harmonic gate is broken. You find it at the edge of a pressure shelf, half buried in a crater of distorted time. The air around it flickers, not visually, but emotionally. You feel déjà vu, mild longing, and a whisper of forgotten guilt just by standing near it. The technician frowns, arms crossed. Sister Three's pitch slipped again. The harmonic gate is a tuning structure, half architecture, half instrument. Designed to modulate the resonance feedback from the singing sisters, it ensures their songs don't collapse into dangerous overtones. When it's functional, it redirects discord into the void. When it's broken, things leak. "You'll need to crawl in," she says, handing you a helmet. There's a pitch node inside the ribway. It needs manual retuning. The technician's voice becomes a sad cello. The distant wind sounds like unresolved chord progressions. It flickers irregularly, emitting pulses that feel like forgotten phone calls. You slip the helmet on. Inside, your hearing shifts. Not muffled, not clearer, just translated. The world outside is now sonified into emotional cues. You duck into the gate's ribway. The walls are lined with vibrating filaments, each humming a different frequency. Just holding it. For one perfect moment, the world had been quiet, still, and utterly okay. You close your eyes. You brush one by accident, it screams, not loud, not even unpleasant, but piercing in a way that resonates directly with your childhood shame. It lives up to its name. You move through curved, bone-like corridors that seem to breathe ever so slightly. The filaments around it realign. Your cuff turns green. You keep crawling. Eventually, you reach the pitch node, a suspended crystal rotating slowly above a metal cradle. You're old, sitting by a window that looks out over a strange forest. There's a sound playing a familiar hum. It's the sisters, but softer, like a memory passed down in lullabies. You steady your breath and place your hand on the base of the node. It resists, then surrenders. The node dims. The task is done. You check your modulator cuff. It blinks amber unstable harmonic drift. A tuning interface appears partly tactile, partly emotional. You're not adjusting dials. You're adjusting intent. To correct the pitch, you must recall a moment of pure alignment, a time when your body, mind, and purpose were in full resonance. And satisfying, like the resolution to a song you didn't know was stuck in your head. You remember standing in a bookstore years ago, holding a book you never bought. You offer that moment to the node. It accepts. You realign the sympathetic pathway. That's a yes in crystal language. The crystal's pulse smooths. But the node doesn't stop. It shows you something, a future you may never live. You smile, then blink. You're back inside the ribway. You crawl out, slightly different. The technician nods at your helmet. Any problems? It asks me a question, you say. She raises an eyebrow, and I think I said yes. She taps the gate frame. The harmonic gate shudders slightly, then stabilizes. A soft, warm note plays through the ground settle on the panel nearby. A phrase etches itself into glowing script, resonance restored. Thank you for your emotional contribution. You remove your helmet. The world feels heavier, but also more in tune. Before you leave, you notice a message blinking on your cuff. Reward. 1 unanswered question stored. Redeem when ready. You wonder what the question will be, or if you've already asked it. The vault is made of echo, not metal, not stone echo. The walls shimmer with reverberations from the sisters' older songs. The ones no longer performed, the ones theorized to be dangerous if ever repeated. You step inside and your footsteps sound like someone else's. The cadence is wrong, off by a fraction. Your heel hits the floor and you hear a different shoe, a different gait, a different weight. The chamber is tuned to identity drift. Think of it like gravitational autobiography. You pause. Take another step. The echo lags, then rushes to catch up, too loud, too late. A corridor ahead glows slightly as you remember your 10th birthday. Another path pulses faintly with the weight of a regret you still carry in your left shoulder. The technician doesn't follow you. You'll want to do this part alone, she says from outside. Inside, lights don't come from bulbs, but from recollection. You choose neither. Instead, you let the chamber decide. Floating walkways crisscross in impossible configurations, some upside down, some curved like punctuation. Voices reverberate across the space, speaking in overlapping dialects of you. It responds. The floor beneath you shifts not physically, but tonally. It repeats possibilities. You are now walking through a version of yourself that never left home. The walls whisper phrases you never said. You hear a laugh you used to recognize, but can't name anymore. One door appears. You walk through it. On the other side, a cathedral of echoes. The ceiling stretches too high to measure, with stillness. Just another resonance. A version of you that followed different gravities. This one smiles, sits cross-legged on nothing, and holds out a hand. At the center stands a tall silver pillar, covered in tiny rotating tiles. Each tile displays a different image for a fraction of a second, most too fast to comprehend. But one catches your eye. You step onto a platform and immediately feel dizzy. Not from height, but from self-displacement. This place doesn't just repeat sounds. A voice behind you, not quite yours, says, "You almost became me." You turn, the pillar hums. A voice inside your head, not internal, but resonated, asks one question. It's not a clone. Not a hallucination. You take it. Then in silence, you whisper not an answer, but a sound. The platform shifts, and suddenly you're watching scenes together. You at age 17, not saying something important. You at 34, laughing a little too loudly at a silence that hurt. You last week, deciding not to send a message. You store more echoes than most, your other uses. The sisters collect what rings loudest. You ask, "Are you real?" "I'm consistent," they reply. "That's close enough." Then they vanish, and the chamber goes dark. Not with fear. A soft tone ripples upward. The next room is circular. It's your reflection, except older, and sadder, and more complete. You step closer. What have you unchosen? You stand there, long enough for the lights to dim. The room accepts it. The echo vault begins to close. You walk back down the corridor, footsteps now sensed again. Your rhythm has returned. But you know it's not the same one you entered with. Orbit is no longer safe. You feel it before anyone says it, the way your bones hum out of sync, the way the shadows on the walls begin leaning in directions that don't make sense. Your sleeve buzzes with a soft alert. Gravity storm detected, anomaly inbound. Remain calm, a storm. Here doesn't mean wind or rain, it means curvature. Space itself begins to bend with irregular cadence. The station tilts slightly, not physically, but in its relationship to mass. Cups hover an inch off tables. A small box of tools slides upward, then reorients sideways. Someone's pen explodes into glittering molecules and refolds into a paper crane. You grab a rail. It pulls away, embarrassed. Storm's early, the technician says, now by your side again. Sister 5 must be improvising. You brace against the wall, but it isn't helpful. Gravity here isn't pulling anymore. It's negotiating. No one. Reality softens. Don't make any major decisions. They might retroactively rewrite themselves. Down is now mostly to your left. You stumble into a corridor that keeps changing direction halfway through each step. You hear laughter, familiar, your own voice, but younger, from a time you thought was lost. You spin around. Echoes spill over, mutters the technician. Common during storms, no up, no down. Just center. A warning scrolls across a translucent panel above the emergency airlock. Do not sleep near time leaks. Lucid dreams may become regulatory events. If you get displaced, this brings you home. You're herded gently into a resonance-safe room, a sphere, suspended in adaptive gel. Inside, the world quiets. Color bends with them. Red becomes regret. Blue becomes memory. You feel your thoughts change you. Someone yells, but the words come out as weather patterns. A cup of tea freezes mid-air, then quietly becomes soup. A single window reveals the Singing Sisters outside, and you finally see the storm. It's not clouds or waves. It's a chorus. Mass bends visibly, pulsing lines of spatial tension racing between the sisters like strings plucked by an invisible hand. One sister blinks, but we won't know what until tomorrow. Or yesterday. Not metaphorically, actually. For one long moment, a gravitational singularity folds closed, then opens again like an eye adjusting its focus. You are its focus. The technician hands you a device the size of a fruit seed. Personal anchor. Set it with a memory. Any memory. You grip the seed tightly and remember the smell of books, the sound of a kettle, a hallway filled with sun. The seed warms. Outside, the storm intensifies. Not with motion, but intention. Doors open without hinges, and then quiet. The shift stops as suddenly as it began. Gravity exhales. The station settles with a sigh that resonates through your teeth. Everything looks normal, but nothing feels the same. In the distance, the sisters' harmony returns, but one note is missing. Something's changed, the technician says. You look down at your hands. They feel exactly as you remember, only you're not sure which version of you is doing the remembering. You're rising. Not in a ship, not on an elevator, simply rising, pulled upward by a spiral of pressure and song. The second well is a vertical corridor of compressed air and resonant flow, spiraling like a soft whirlwind. It doesn't move you with force. It persuades you gently, a gravity shaped like encouragement. Your arms hang loose at your sides. Your feet are not planted. The walls of the column breathe, flexing in and out, layered with translucent ridges, like the gills of some sleeping creature. Upward isn't just direction here, it's progression. Each meter is a mood, a warm space filled with the scent of moss and sleep. A cold ribbon where the air smells like static and lost words. Every passage evokes something unsorted within you. You remember a forgotten melody, a lingering goodbye, the click of a closing door. You pass through pockets of temperature and tone. Her song loops and pulses that spiral upward and back again. It nods once, an acknowledgement, then disappears. You don't know what it meant, but it felt like forgiveness. With each loop, you hear a phrase repeated, each time slightly changed. Somewhere far below, Sister 2 hums in recursion. You are still here. You are still here. You will be still. A shape materializes in the wall, vague, humanoid, but formed of breath and light. Then a platform. You feel as though your outline has been traced in light and now gently redrawn. Something is being aligned, or clarified, or reduced. The orb shows you a person you don't recognize, but they are holding something you once lost. The walls are made of memory stone rock that absorbs experiences and radiates them slowly back as temperature gradients. You land gently, without effort. You are standing now, though you didn't remember shifting. Around you is a chamber lined in soft gray. It's warm here. At the center of the room sits an orb. Inside, shadows hum lullabies and forgotten dialects. You step closer. You touch the orb. It vibrates not in sound, but in narrative. Stories bleed into you, fragments of people who passed this way before. Above you, the second well narrows to a single thread of gravity light. You climb it by remembering how to climb. The steps form beneath your feet with each thought. Your childhood stairs, the library steps, that broken ladder in the rain. You know the way forward. You don't know how you know. Some are soft, a hand held in silence, a letter never mailed. Around you, invisible choirs resonate in the language of endings. You are not alone. You are not many. You are something between. Some are loud, an oath shouted into storm, a footstep across a burning bridge. The orb pulses one final time and asks, not in words, but in sensation, are you ready to merge? You don't answer, but the room answers for you. A ring of faint light surrounds your body. Pressure draws inward, not pain, but focus. You are being simplified, says a voice. You don't know where it comes from. Another voice adds, that's not the same as losing complexity. You nod. You don't remember deciding to. The chamber fades. Now you are walking again on a path of breath and reflection. A staircase appears not physical, but a pattern in the air. Every memory lifts you. Until finally, you emerge into a space that is not a room, but a feeling. The air is soft as dusk. You step into Sister 7's well. There is no descent, no elevator, no ship. You simply cross the threshold and are there. Reality folds politely around your entry. The space you arrive in doesn't resemble a chamber, it resembles a thought. The floor is conceptual, soft, warm, responsive. When you think of stone, it becomes stone. When you imagine sand, it becomes soft and whispering. You test it by picturing snow. It snows briefly. A memory from your childhood snow you never touched, but once dreamed of. Sister 7 does not hum like the others. She gestures. Through pressure, through presence, through the folding of graviton strands so precise they mimic suggestion. Every time she pulses, the world around you reshapes gently, deliberately, like a stage between scenes. Something that has never needed to move because the universe moves to meet it. A shape waits ahead. It's not a person, not a creature. Just posture, the shape of something accustomed to stillness. You approach. Where a face might be, there's a shimmering void filled with pressure and distant, impossible chords. The shape acknowledges you, not with motion, but with absence. An invitation formed by what it doesn't do. This is the choir's conductor. It listens. It doesn't command. It remembers. You feel their tones vibrating through your bones. Each star speaking a version of gravity that speaks a version of you. You understand without needing to ask. It doesn't lead. You step forward and it opens not like a door, but like a memory resurfacing. You walk inside the idea of it. Suddenly, you are elsewhere, you are everywhere. For one fraction of awareness, you are within the seven sisters simultaneously. In Sister 1, you are made of disassembly taken apart by longing, rebuilt by memory. In Sister 2, you spiral through recursion, asking and re-asking the same beautiful questions. It pulses faintly. A single sensation emanates from it, not approval, not disapproval, completion, or think that you bow. The act seems less important than the intent. In Sister 3, you become pitch, vibrating in sympathy with the things you never dared to say. In Sister 4, you are silence interrupted. In Sister 5, you dance inside a rhythm that has not yet been written. The air shifts gently toward sleep cool, quiet, and forgiving. In Sister 6, you are light distorted into trust. And in Sister 7, you are still, and that stillness is music. The awareness fades. You're back, standing before the conductor again. In your hand, without memory of taking it, is a small object, a graviton twist, braided like a Mobius loop made of thought. The conductor's absence regards you. You bow, the conductor dissolves, or maybe it never was. The environment around you ripples with closure. The floor stabilizes. The gravity song fades into ambient resonance. You return to the threshold from which you entered. And just before you leave, you feel a final message from Sister 7. The song remembers you, even if you forget. You pass through the fold, and the doorway vanishes behind you like breath on a mirror. You are seated now, though you don't remember sitting. The walls are made of light filtered through water, each ripple casting fractured memories across the floor. A figure approaches. Not a technician, not a monk, not even the conductor, an archivist. You know this by the way they move, without sound, without mass, as if they're being remembered rather than currently existing. They wear a robe the color of vanished ink, stitched with glyphs that shift only when you aren't looking directly at them. They carry a bowl. Inside, motes of light floating like soft ash. Memories. Would you like to donate? They ask. You hesitate. These aren't extractions. They add gently. They're offerings. You choose what to release, not the smallest, not the brightest, just one that feels ready. You look into the bowl. The motes flicker as your gaze passes over them. Some pulse warm, some shy away. You recognize one as a recurring dream you never finished. Another is a forgotten smell-cooked rice and soap and rain. A third is shame, clear and soft and small. You pick one. Your fingers don't touch it. You agree with it. And it floats up, leaving your memory with such silence that for a moment you wonder if it was ever truly yours. Slowly, the basin fills with faint light, and out of it rises something strange. The archivist bows and sets the bowl on a low pedestal. It dissolves. The motes rise into the air and fade. All except yours. Yours descends, not heavy, but dense in a way that feels personal, into a basin carved into the floor, which glows upon contact. You've given it away. Let someone else find meaning in it. It's theirs, but they do not understand it. A stone, not large. When it enters you, it doesn't show an image. It creates space a hollow that feels like a question that cannot be formed, only felt. This is what it became, says the archivist. Your memory solidified. It's not meant for you now. Who is it for? Other figures move quietly, visitors like you, seated with archivists of their own. None of them notice you. You don't notice them. It is a solitude that respects itself. Anyone who might need to carry it, or maybe you just understand. You reach for it, but the archivist lifts a hand. Not now. You step back. A quiet voice, not from the archivist, but from the room itself, whispers. Release completes the echo. No judgment. Just wait. The archivist now gestures to a second bowl, this one darker, heavier. Inside, just one mote, but it spins violently, orbiting itself. This one is offered to you, They say, not from a person, from the sisters. You reach toward it, it resists. The moat fights to remain unsurrendered. But gradually it yields, rising toward you like a reluctant truth. Your eyes sting. That was not knowledge, the archivist says, almost apologetically. That was absence. They gave you their forgetting. You nod. Around the chamber, the walls begin to flicker. Before you go, the archivist offers a final gesture, a sphere of translucent clay, warm to the touch. What is it? You're unreleased. What you still carry. You tuck it into your pocket. You leave the room a little lighter, but more aware of what's still yours. The return corridor is narrow and silent, lit only by the gentle shimmer of pressurized thought. You walk slowly, not because you're tired, but because movement now feels symbolic, each step a punctuation mark on the long sentence of your journey. You're guided by nothing and no one, and yet you never feel lost. Your steps echo faintly, but they're not your echoes. A version of you haven't quite caught up to, or maybe already left behind. They arrive a fraction before your feet fall, like someone walking just ahead of you in time. This is the hall of integration. The walls don't display images, but tones. Frequencies of you, moments that hum instead of speak. You pass one that resonates like your mother's voice. The technician's voice distant, but warm echoes inside your earpiece. Another buzzes like a door you never opened. Some are dissonant, and some make you want to sit down and breathe for a very long time. A soft chime plays from your cuff. You've completed primary resonance. Gravity memory is now stable. Prepare for final surrender. You enter a circular chamber. It is simple, unmarked, empty except for the ceiling, which opens slowly to reveal a perfect view of the sisters above. All seven, aligned. Their harmony is absent, but their presence is full. You feel pressure not physical, but emotional, historic, spatial. Every corner of you known and unknown feels noticed. They do not sing. The floor receives your weight like a parent catching a child mid-fall. They wait. You lie down, not because you must, because it feels like the correct final gesture above the sisters' glow. Not your ears, the questions you never asked, the names you never said out loud, the feelings you never framed, not your mind. Your mass, and then softness. A note enters the chamber, quiet as a breath, not a hum, not a song, just one tone. It resonates deep in your chest. The tone grows slowly, a second joins, then a third. You realize they aren't singing at you. Reduced, not to nothing, but to essence. You're not seeing the stars anymore. You're seeing resonance. Everything excess is being sung away. Everything necessary is being remembered. They're singing with you. You've become part of the chord. Each sister picks up one part of your story, not the things you told them, but the things you held back. And they answer, not with meaning, but with tone. One sister sings your fear, not to erase it, but to give it shape. Another carries your laughter distorted, but recognizable. A third hums the silence that followed your greatest regret and fills it gently. You don't cry. There's no need. You are being unmade with care. The sky above begins to pulse, and it's beautiful. You place your hand on your chest and feel it, your own hum, steady and aligned. Surrender here is not defeat. It's return. You are floating now, not because gravity has gone, but because you have. There's no platform beneath you, no chamber around you. Only starlight, only silence. Only the residual hum of your own alignment, still vibrating like a soft chord inside your chest. The singing sisters are no longer above you. They are with you. Your thoughts resonate in colors, your heartbeat echoes in intervals of light. Their sevenfold harmony threads through your consciousness like fine silk drawn across memory. You don't hear them. You are them for a moment. Time doesn't pass here. It waits. You reach toward nothing and something reaches back. Not a hand. Not a voice. Just sensation, familiar, comforting. like something you once loved and lost, returning not to stay, but to remind you that it was real. Then, a pulse from deep within the constellation, thin as willpower, strong as certainty. It wraps gently around your sense of self, not body, not name, but whatever part of you still wishes to return. Not a sound, but a decision. A tonal shift that says, it is time. A tether appears, you do not resist. You are pulled, not downward, not away, but inward, through memory, through echo, through tone, the gravitational residue of everything you've been allowed to be. You feel their farewell, not a word, not a goodbye, but a sensation of completion, of having been part of something enormous and kind. The sisters begin to fade, but not vanish. They recede into background resonance, becoming part of the vast silence from which stars are born. The jelly glass corridors. The technician standing by the hatch. You descend through your own story. Scenes flicker past, not just things you did, but things you meant to do. People you nearly became, choices you almost made. You smile softly because now none of it feels wasted. No souvenirs, no data logs. No crystalline trophies. You land gently where you began. The observation ring. Welcome back, she says, as if it's the most ordinary thing in the universe. You nod, or perhaps you simply return. You carry nothing visible, only one small vibration inside your chest. It hums softly, aligned. And now you drift, not through space, not through memory, but through rest. The sounds of the sisters fade into something deeper, more diffuse. No more song, no more resonance, only the long exhale of something greater than stars letting you go, gently. The hum in your chest softens with each breath until it is no longer a hum, but simply you, not transformed, not reinvented, just returned. Around you, the station dims, lights pulse slowly. Pressure equalizes. You remember very little now. A shape, a tone. A question unanswered. You don't need the answers. The question was the point. Far above, beyond your reach, but not beyond your influence, the constellation continues its harmony, now with one tiny ripple added to it. Yours. It doesn't matter whether anyone else hears it. You do. And now, as you settle into stillness, you let that echo carry you not forward, not back, but inward into a quiet that knows your name. Not the name you were given, the one you grew into. The one that needs no sound. Let yourself float now. Let the sisters sing you smaller, softer, simpler. And when you close your eyes, you'll feel it again, that gentle pull, that deep calm, that sense that even in the vastest reaches of gravity and song, you were seen, you were heard, you were held. Sleep now, the universe will keep singing. You've earned your silence,